everybody.
Who is that cat?
Archer.
You're just gonna stare at me?
Oh.
I am Walrus. What the hell?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. Hope you guys have been doing well. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be continuing on with what the hell? We're going to continue on with the Michael McDonald trial. I believe last we left off, we were in the middle of the state's first witness. I believe she's a court clerk for the county. And I think they're going through some of the exhibits, some of the filings that Michael McDonald filed. And so that's the current state of what we're doing now. So this is beyond that. This is going to be a really chill stream. I'll probably play some Starfield at the bottom of the screen. So nothing else too major. I'll probably get caught up on a lot of the body cam stuff and SovSit stuff. I know there's a lot of stuff that's been posted lately, but I'm going to save those probably for the weekend, okay? So we can get through Mr. McDonald. So everybody sit back, relax, take your feet up, hit that like button, and we'll get right to it.
Yeah. The state would move to admit the redacted copy, which is the state's proposed Exhibit 6.
Objection?
Okay.
I'll get admitted.
Jump back to the pulpit, Mr. Mueller. Sorry.
Sure. Thank you.
Evening, everybody.
Permission to publish Exhibit 3, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
So what we're looking at is what been previously
Arian Rod.
admitted as State's Exhibit 3. You can see on the bottom the redactions. We talked
And thank you for the 30 months.
earlier, Ms. O'Connor, about file stamps. Can you describe to us where on this document the file stamp is?
In the upper right-hand corner.
Okay. And you can actually use your mouse there in front of you, I think. Does that give you a little bit of... Okay. So you're pointing to the top right of the document where it says electronically filed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the date on that?
December 4th of 2017.
And the top left, who is the party filing that document?
It's listed as Michael McDonald.
And I know you described this earlier, but when it says electronically filed, what does that tell you?
Both of our file stamps will state electronically filed.
Okay.
Because that's how they get entered into the system.
Arian Rod, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate it.
But the fact that this doesn't have a time also next to the date, what does that tell us?
That tells me that it indicates that it came across one of our customer service counters.
Publishing State's Exhibit 2. also see here that we've talked about the redactions there on the bottom. This is the front page. What does the file stamp there tell us about this document?
That it was filed on September 27th, 2017 at 8:02 a.m.
And who is the party filing this motion?
It's listed as Michael McDonald.
Brief indulgence. Republishing States Exhibit 3, which has been previously admitted. Did you review documents associated to, and records associated to this document to determine where it was filed?
I did.
And I ask that because the file stamp, does that tell us where it was filed? Meaning the RJC, the Regional Justice Center, or the Family Court Building?
It does not.
Okay. But in your capacity and under your purview with your job, you're able to determine those things?
Correct.
And according to your research, where was this document filed?
I made some notes because it's been a long time since I looked at it. Would it be possible to review the note on the date?
Do you have your notes with you?
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
An objection is to reviewing notes without a proper authentication.
And,
Lay the-
Your Honor, this would just be refreshing recollection. You wouldn't be reading it out loud to the jury.
Show it to the defense counsel.
Haven't seen it, has been filed.
That's,
I don't have objection to her reviewing the notes and refreshing a recollection from them. If she'll testify that she made these when the information was refreshed. I would also ask that a copy of this document be made
Court exhibit.
court exhibit.
that's fine.
Refreshing recollection, yay.
You want me to lay a foundation for that, Your Honor?
I insist.
Is that, okay, I'm just making sure. So I understand you're looking at a piece of paper, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your handwriting on the piece of paper?
Yes, it is.
You made those notes yourself?
I did.
And was that made during your research regarding certain filings for this case?
Yes.
Move to admit, Your Honor?
It's not being admitted, it's just
Or
used to.
just to be used to refresh recollection, is that
It hasn't
sufficient
been-
of a foundation?
That's my understanding.
That's correct. My colleague hasn't established that it does in fact refresh her recollection or that she actually knew it at one time.
And I think, Your Honor, there's some confusion. because
Objection,
there were-
one witness per attorney.
Oh my God.
Sustained.
That's fine, Your Honor. Looking at these notes that you made yourself in regards to this case, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, for the date.
Go ahead. I'm overruling the objection, assuming that's what your objection was.
No, if the foundation is properly been laid, he's refreshed her recollection, I withdraw the objection now.
All right.
Ms. O'Connor, going back to State's Exhibit 3, that's being published here, where was this, according to your research, where was this document filed?
So Mueller, I mean, I guess the judge is sustaining it, but Mueller is arguing that when one state's attorney is, questioning a witness, he's objecting to the other state's attorney objecting, making commentary or objecting on a set on in that instance. basically he does. It's like he doesn't like being a 2v1 in with a single witness. I assume that's what the issue is. But the judge is saying is sustaining it, suggesting that that's supposedly proper decorum. Angspel, to answer your question, since the judge is the one who pointed out, I mean, she could be, yes, but I think they're trying to establish this witness so that they don't necessarily have to have the judge testify. They only need to because they only need to show that Michael McDonald filed the document into the record.
This document was filed at the...
Or tried to file the document in the record.
Regional Justice Center.
Martin, thank you for becoming a member.
Exhibit 4, which has been previously admitted. What does the file stamp there tell us about this document?
That it was filed at one of our customer service counters,
And what date was that?
December 20th of 2017.
And again, who is the party filing that document?
It's listed as Michael McDonald.
And Publishing States Exhibit 5, which has been previously admitted. Same question, Ms. O'Connor, what does the file stamp there tell us about this document?
That it was filed on March 13th of 2018 at one of our customer service counters.
And who is the party filing that document, according to this?
It's listed as Michael McDonald.
Showing you States Exhibit 6, which has been previously admitted. The same question, what does that file stamp tell us about that document?
It was filed on March 21st of 2018 at one of our customer service counters.
And again, in regards to this document, do you recall where this was filed?
I believe on this document, it was filed at the family court's location.
Your indulgence, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I could put a two finer points. You said believe. Does she know? If she believes, then I move to strike.
Is that, are you objecting?
Yes, she has no benefit.
Sustaining the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. You say you believe, Ms. O'Connor. Were you also, did you do some research to try to determine
Hey,
where
M3.
this document was filed?
Yes,
And what was the result of that research?
at the family court location.
All right, withdraw.
And I apologize, going back to States 5, which has been previously admitted. The same question, Ms. O'Connor. According to your research into the history of this document, where was this document filed?
At the family court location as well.
We spoke a little bit about the JAVS video surveillance system that is in the courthouse and at the family courthouse. Were you asked at one point to obtain or pull video from a hearing that occurred on March 16th, 2018?
Yes.
And was that in relation to Michael McDonald, the defendant in this case?
It was in relation to that domestic case number, yes.
Uh-oh. They're referring to the video that we saw.
Make a copy of that video and get it to my office, the district attorney's office. Did you then meet with myself and Ms. Mishler and view portions of that video that had been redacted and kind of cut down and view that in its entirety with us?
Yes.
Permission to approach her, or I'll show defense counsel.
Just stay still. Just do it.
Permission to approach?
Yes.
Showing you state's proposed exhibit 7. What does that appear to be?
A CD of the snippets of the jazz hearings that you have reviewed.
When you say that, how do you know that? Is this, what are we looking at here on the bottom of the disc?
Those are my initials and the date that I reviewed them.
Did you in fact write that yourself?
I did.
And was that after you viewed what's on this disc in its entirety, me and Ms. Schwartz's presence?
Yes.
Move to admit proposed 7, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Are we gonna show it to the jury?
I'm sorry?
Are we gonna show it to the jury?
If it's admitted, yes.
Okay. then we
Yeah.
show it to it. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brief indulgence. Nothing further, Your Honor?
Cross.
Yeah, you worked on the family court for a number of years, have you not?
I have, yes.
Okay. And for those of us who don't get down to family court so often, can you explain a few things to me, if you don't mind?
Okay.
Now, is it common for people to have attorneys in family court?
We do see attorneys, but the majority, I think, of folks also appear in proper person.
And when you say proper person, what does that mean?
Appropriate persona. Uh-oh.
All right, they're self-represented. That means a lot of people can't afford an attorney. All right. Now, how many documents a day do you guys take in down there in family court? Just the nearest 100 or 1,000 will be fine.
It really fluctuates,
Yes.
depending on the day. And can I ask, do you mean across the counter or just total?
Divided by, on the working days, I'm not interested in the day after holiday or anything. I mean, just how many documents a day do you guys process down there?
Approximately 2,000 to 3,000.
2 to 3,000 documents a day. So how many working days a year?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
So we got 52 weeks, about 3,000 documents a day, give or take. You know, would you agree with, there's about 750,000 documents get filed with family court every year?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm
Do you
sorry.
remember when I asked you about this at the preliminary hearing?
I don't actually, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you would agree 3,000, 2 to 3,000 documents a day?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, and they can be filed from the family court. They can be filed from this building down to the family court, which is actually not here, correct? Now, going through, counsel, where's your exhibit? Showing you State's Exhibit 2. Okay, what date was that filed?
September 27th of 2017.
Okay, and this is for Mr. McDonald to try to get custody, visitation with his kids, correct?
I don't know the substance of the document.
Don't know the substance. And when was this document filed?
March 13th of 2018.
And this is actually just exhibits to the case, exhibits, right?
That's the title of the document, yes.
All right. Now, there's a term here, and I want to understand something, if you can help me understand. The term here is on the top, it's called recusal. What does that mean?
I guess I'm not understanding the question.
I'm
I
trying to
mean,
make
is
it as simple as I can. What does, the very first term, or first word in the upper left corner of that particular document is the word recusal.
Correct.
And you're the
Could we hear
clerk.
what exhibit number we're talking about?
Certainly, counsel, I apologize. That would be States 3.
Thank you.
Okay, the word again
Okay.
is the word recusal. The document date is on the 12th of, or 4th of March 4th of April, try again, 4th of December 2017. Now, what is a recusal?
Recusal is usually a request to have the judicial officer assigned to the case recused.
Okay, to get the judicial, and without, for the non-lawyers here, a judicial officer would be a judge. Correct?
Could be, yes.
Yes. And there's, so basically that document is a motion to recuse a judge. That's what his caption
Okay.
reads, correct?
Yes.
And their point is?
And showing you what's been marked as proposed exhibit number 4. This document's called the reply. And what's the caption here?
Defendant's reply to response to motion to disqualify and counter motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but I suspect sometimes down in family court, the motions run pretty high. Correct? I mean, you've been down there a number of years. All right, and I would suspect people getting frustrated, maybe throwing things and kicking things happens fairly frequently, correct?
It can happen.
All right. Now, you can't say for sure who actually filed those documents, only that they were in fact filed.
Correct.
Now, I'm a little confused. If I had ill feelings towards somebody, could I go down and just file something in their case?
We don't require ID if
Okay.
you're filing at any of our customer service counters.
So if I wanted to file something that was kind of really unkind about somebody or something, I could, and I wanted to cause some mischief, I could go down and just file something in an electronic file, correct?
It would be processed through.
All right. Well, let me.
So I feel like it's kind of hard to say that Mike McDonald didn't file the court documents, and then we have him on video trying to present them in open court. Do we not?
Question. What is a fugitive document?
I'm not fully comfortable on the definition of that term.
Okay, well, if I'm representing somebody as an attorney, and they're not happy with me, and they file their own motion without telling me, are you allowed to accept that?
As a clerk's office, we're required to accept any documents that are filed. It's up to the judicial departments to make any decisions.
So it would be the court department that would actually reject a document that was not proper work.
Correct.
All right, is that the fact what they mean by fugitive document?
It's my understanding, but I'm not confident on the full definition of that. It's not something we normally handle.
Now, you down in family court every single day, correct?
Well, not, I mean, every single day is kind of broad. I have staff at other locations.
I'm assuming they give you a day off, and that
Well-
wasn't what I meant. They do it when you're at work day. This is what you do. You get up, you go down to family court and run the clerk's office.
I do.
Okay, so that's what you do. Now, are you familiar with an organization down there called Nevada Court Watchers?
No, I'm not.
No. You ever get on the internet and read up on family court at all?
No.
Okay, so nothing that you do.
Mr. Miller, excuse me, we need you to put the lapel mic on. You're wandering out of areas where she can't take you.
Not a problem. No one will ever complain they can't hear me. He's not voice.
Okay, I think I did rewind a bit too far back. I think we did already see this section of it. Because I remember hearing him say that line. Putz.
All right, now that I got the microphone on, I think I'm just about done. Give me a moment or two. Now, if someone's attorney dies or they don't no longer
Yeah, we did see that. Hold on.
family court that teaches them how to do anything? Don't know.
In the past, I honestly.
Yeah, we go through the rest of this, and I think that's actually okay. So we did actually see the. I thought we stopped in the middle of this video, but we didn't. We stopped at the end of this video. All right, let's go to the next. Let's go next.
And even though we all probably have some idea, and what's the name of your
Remain standing, face the clerk of the court.
Please raise your right hand. Do you do solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the case of penalty of perjury? Thank you. Please be seated. And will you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Nancy, Nancy, Hunterton, Hunterton.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Ms. Hunterton, what do you do for a living?
I'm a marriage and family therapist
And how long have you been a marriage and family therapist?
for more than 20 years.
And what's the name of your marriage and family therapy practice?
Character Way.
And do you have, can you describe the certification and educational background you have for that position?
Yes, to be a marriage and family therapist, you have to have had a bachelor degree and then go on and get a master's. And I am, I have a recommendation to take the state exam because I had a previous master's and I had been a certified therapist in another way. So I actually don't have a master's in marriage and family, but I am fully licensed and I am a supervisor of other younger therapists.
And so are you considered a licensed marriage and family therapist?
Correct.
And even though we all probably have some idea kind of what you do, but could you give a brief synopsis of just sort of what you do as a marriage and family therapist?
Okay, marriage and family therapy is a bit different from social work or some other counseling fields in that it is systemically focused. It looks at people in the context of families. So it is looking at marriages, couples, interrelationship between parent and child, and that kind of thing, but it always looks at
Hey, everybody.
people
Coming
in the context of relationship.
And through your work as a therapist, are you familiar with a person by the name of Michael McDonald?
I am.
And do you see Michael McDonald here in the courtroom today?
I do.
Could you please point at him and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He is the middle gentleman at that table, and he is wearing a blue striped tie, blue and gray.
Jacket or no jacket?
No jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant?
It'll sort of reflect.
And how are you familiar with the defendant, Mr. McDonald?
Mr. McDonald came to my practice to be seen as a client.
And is that the term you prefer, client rather than patient?
Yes.
And so while Mr. McDonald, the defendant, was your client, as a result of that, did you become aware that he has an ongoing family court case?
Yes,
Probably.
I was aware of that.
And at some point, while the defendant was your client, did he ask you to write a letter for him?
Yes, he did.
And did you then prepare a letter for him?
I did.
And what was your understanding of the purpose of that letter?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Subconsciously, I knew it, but yes, I believe this is the therapist or whoever it was who made the statement that Mr. McDonald allegedly doctored. Allegedly.
It was to acknowledge that he had begun counseling with me.
Okay. And did you have an understanding of what the defendant was going to do with the letter?
That he would present it to the court. I believe I directed it to the court.
And when you prepared the letter, can you describe what you mean by preparing it?
I don't even know why I need to caveat allegedly. He's already been convicted.
Executive assistant do that?
My assistant did the typing.
Okay. And did you tell your assistant what to type?
Yeah, I tend to be old-fashioned and handwrite first, to get the truth be done.
Okay. So in this case, did you handwrite the letter and then?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, may I approach to obtain some exhibits, please?
Yes.
publish what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 2. And so now I'm publishing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 2. And I think I will zoom in a little bit. And Ms. Hunterton, what I have on the overhead here, can you see that on the screen in front of you? And can you see that okay?
It comes and goes, but yeah, I can.
Oh, actually I'll zoom in a little bit more. There we go, is that good?
Maybe move it, if it's possible, a little bit that way. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. That's perfect, thank
And
you.
we'll probably I'll move it down as we,
That's good.
I'll ask you some questions about it. Okay, so, and Ms. Hunterton, on the screen in front of you, if the technology is cooperating with us today, at the bottom of your screen, you might see two different little pen icons. Do you see that?
Uh-oh.
If you look, there's one thing that kind of looks like a red pen, and then there's another one that looks like a pen, but it has a little one next to it.
You have to move the mouse.
Oh, that might help. Okay, try moving your mouse.
Okay. Yes, now I do, correct.
Oh, okay, great. So I may ask you to move your mouse to various points, and then I'll ask you to click on the thing that looks like a pen that has a little one next to it. But if it doesn't work, we'll just roll with it. Okay. So here, so I'm showing you a document contained within State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize what we're looking at here?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
It is the letter that wrote at the end of Mr. McDonald's session with me on August 31st of 2017.
Okay. And so up here at the top, is this the name of your practice?
It is, yes.
Okay. And then, and you testified just a minute ago that you addressed it to the court. Is that what's shown here?
That is correct.
Okay. And can you see the date here?
Yes.
Okay. What is the date?
August 31st, 2017.
Would that have been around the time that you wrote this letter?
I know that I wrote it at the end of the session, yes.
Okay. So on or near August 31st of 2017?
Correct.
Okay. And then we can move down a little bit, and there's a bit of a shadow, so it might be hard to see, but do you recognize, what are we looking at in this section?
We're looking at my signature and professional identification.
Okay. And is this LMFT, is that your professional identity?
Licensed marriage family therapist, yes. Licensed member.
Okay. And this right here is your signature, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And obviously, I'm assuming the blacked out section, obviously, I'm correct in assuming that wasn't there when you prepared the letter, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you understand I'm not going to ask you about what was in the blacked out section,
I
correct?
understand.
Okay. So could you read the letter for us, starting with Dear Judge Marquis?
Dear Judge Marquis, Michael McDonald has seen me for individual
So I believe this is probably the first letter,
therapy to address issues
or the original, I should say.
related to divorce, his personal well-being, and to develop insight related to his separation from his ex-wife and especially his children. We've met regularly since June of 2017.
And then the last sentence.
Oh, please contact me if further information would be helpful. Sincerely.
And then other than the portion that's been blacked out, is this an accurate copy of the letter that you prepared for Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 4. And can you see that okay, Ms. Haggerty? Okay, and do you recognize what you're looking at here?
sorry, do I recognize what about it?
Do you recognize what we're looking at?
There it is. And there it is. I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to him or hit to his children or himself. I want to zoom in a little bit here. June. That's not even. He couldn't even get the font size correctly. That's at least 1 or 2 points smaller than the original font. Is that? And I don't think that's Times New Roman, is it? It might be Times. It's just two. It looks like it's 2 points smaller than the original font.
Okay. And then, could you please read this letter starting with Dear Judge Markey?
Dear Judge Markey, Michael McDonald has seen me for individual therapy to address issues related to divorce, his personal well-being, and to develop insight related to his separation from his ex-wife and especially his children. We've met regularly since June of 2017. I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to his children or himself. Please contact me if further information would be helpful. Sincerely.
And just to correct the record, I referred to this as States Exhibit 4. It's actually States Exhibit 3. So Ms. Hunterton, so the letter you just read, is this the same letter that you prepared for Mr. McDonald?
No, not exactly.
Okay. And can you explain how is it not exactly that letter?
In the paragraph that begins with, that I had written initially, Ms. Michael McDonald, etc., there is a line added at the end. I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to his children or himself.
Okay. And could you just try out our technology and get the mouse and see if you can kind of draw a line or circle the information that you're talking about, or the line that you're talking about?
If I could read them.
No, not the red one.
Sorry. Okay. Oops.
Well, that's okay. We can make
You
it.
want me to go under?
If you want to
Can
try
I
and
do
go
that?
under.
Is there any way to erase it? Go. I'm sorry. I could have underlined
Okay,
it.
I think that's fine.
My apologies.
Okay. So I think we can generally see the area that you indicated there is the area that you've put the red mark on. Is that what was not in the original letter that you prepared? And I'm actually going to go back to the first one that I showed you. Just States Exhibit 2. Oh, could you hit the little trash icon? There should be.
Now it says clear screen. Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, try it again. This one? Oh, there we are. Okay. So now I'm back to showing you States Exhibit 2, the letter I showed you at first, and you testified that this was the letter you prepared for the defendant. And so was this letter then provided to the defendant?
Yes.
And how was that done? Email or in person or something else?
I think it was given to him in person.
And were you present when that happened?
Yes.
And would it have been given to him around August 31st of 2017?
Correct.
And at some point after this letter was given to the defendant, did he make any additional requests of you regarding letters?
At the end of our session, I believe when she had already typed it, she asked if I would be willing to write something about his parenting. He asked if I would write something about his parenting status. I said, yes, I would have, but we didn't have time at that point.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
did you remember?
Repeat what I said?
Yes,
Okay. At the end of the session where this letter was created, he asked if I would add something about his parenting situation. I said I would, but at that point, this letter was already prepared. And so I said I would soon in the future. Yes, I would have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And,
That doesn't
and regarding
that doesn't give you permission to doctor the writing. Oh no.
parenting situation, is that the wording that the defendant used?
I don't remember what he said. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it was over a year ago, right? What
That
was
2 years ago, yeah.
Oh, you are right. And, but regarding, what was your understanding of the type of letter that he wanted you to write in addition to this letter?
One that recommended that he have access to his children.
And were you willing to write such a letter?
I would have written something with what I thought were the appropriate conditions. Yes, I absolutely would have.
Okay, and could you describe in a bit more detail what type of letter you were envisioning it would be?
It would have, said that, while if there were legal concerns as well as personal concerns, allegations or whatever about his parenting, that it would just have to be under supervised situations or whatever. But in marriage and family therapy, we do believe that it is useful for parents and children to have access to one another just in under protected and safe circumstances.
And how lengthy would such a letter be if you were to write it? Just an estimation.
I'm pretty verbose. There probably would have been a big long paragraph or two.
Okay, so fair to say it would have been longer than one sentence?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
May I see what my colleagues showing with?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Dimmer they should. They ought to.
And Ms. Hunterton, I'm handing you what's been marked. They've been marked on the back. One is State's Proposed Exhibit 8, and the other is State's Proposed Exhibit 9. So first, so you can take a look at those. First, I want to ask you, sometime in March of 2018, did a detective come meet with you regarding the defendant, Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Counsel approach.
Uh-oh.
And I think I'll repeat the question I just asked. Sometime in March of 2018, Ms. Hunterton, did you meet with a detective regarding Mr. McDonald, the defendant? And did he show you those same letters that I just showed you today? And in about April of 2019, did you execute an affidavit regarding the defendant?
I did.
Okay. And what was your reason for doing that?
Somebody in this situation asked that I do it, and I just said what the situation was.
Okay. So you have before you what's been marked for identification purposes, and it's marked on the back as states proposed exhibit 8. Do you recognize that?
This is the affidavit?
Well, my question for you is, do you recognize it?
Yes,
Okay. And what is it?
it is the affidavit that I,
Is it a fair and accurate copy of the affidavit that you prepared regarding Mr. McDonald?
yes.
And when did you prepare that?
It's dated 4/29/18, so, I think 4/19/18, sorry.
And, Your Honor, at this time the state moves to admit state's proposed exhibit 8.
Defense objects.
Approach. It will be admitted.
And, okay, and now we're going to go to the other document I handed you, which has been marked for identification purposes as state's proposed exhibit 9. Now, at your practice, do you or your staff keep records of client visits?
Yes,
And so state's proposed exhibit 9 that you have in front of you, do you recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
It is a client contact record. It indicates the time someone has come and, yeah, and when they don't come.
Okay, so anyone that you have as a client, does it record the date as well as the time that they come or don't come?
Yes,
And so for state's proposed exhibit 9, is that a fair and accurate copy of the client record kept for Mr. McDonald?
yes, I'm not sure it's completely current, but yes.
Okay. Meaning since this record was prepared, there may have been additional client
I think
visits?
it's possible, yes.
Okay. Would this record have been made at or near the time of the dates listed on it?
Yes,
And is it, and I think you kind of just answered this, but I'll ask it anyway, is it the regular practice at Character Way to make a record like this?
yes,
And was this record kept in the ordinary course of business at
Yes.
Character Way?
Uh-huh.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit state's proposed exhibit 9.
Any objection?
No.
It will be admitted.
And Your Honor, may I have permission to publish exhibits 8 and 9?
Yes.
And I am publishing state's exhibit 8 that's been admitted. Okay. And it's now on the screen. And Ms. Hunterton, could you tell us what we're looking at?
this is an affidavit, prepared, I guess regarding my, my experience with the letter, the letters, yeah.
And I'm just going to ask you to read a portion of this letter, starting here with Michael McDonald, and then just read down to the hereby state.
Michael McDonald has been a client in my private practice. On August 31st, 2017, I wrote a brief letter indicating he had seen me for individual therapy to address issues related to divorce, his personal well-being, and to develop insight related to his separation from his ex-wife, and especially his children. We've met regularly since June of 2017, end quote. After giving Mr. McDonald the letter, he asked if I would write another letter saying I thought he did not pose any danger to his children. I said I would be willing to do that and would have given the opportunity. I hereby state that the information above is true to the best of my knowledge. I also affirm that the information here is both accurate and complete, and relevant information has not been omitted. And then this is my signature.
Okay. And did you have this notarized?
I did.
as well?
I did.
Okay. And so when you wrote in the affidavit, what did you mean by that you would have been willing to do that given the opportunity?
What's consistent with what I have said before. I would have advocated for an opportunity for him to be with his children. But I would have had to write I would have in conscience had to write a letter that evaluated issues of safety and that kind of stuff, which I would always do in a situation like this,
Okay.
where
And that's-
custody has been deprived.
So you're describing the type of letter you would have written.
Correct.
So this affidavit that you executed about April 19th of 2018, at that time, did you feel like you hadn't had the opportunity to write such a letter?
Correct.
And I'm going to publish what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 9. Okay, and can you explain what we're looking at here?
These are sessions and the status of them. For example, if it says a no-show or late or whatever. it
Oh,
means that
okay.
there were appointments made but that did not happen, or appointments where he did come.
And so does this indicate which client this record is for?
Yes, this is Mr. McDonald's.
Okay. Is that
Oh.
indicated here?
Correct. That's his name.
And his initial video, what does it say in the second one? Lat something or another. The third one says no show. Then he attended the August ones, and then had another no show, and then another one last minute. I don't know.
And so the column that says date, which is probably pretty self-explanatory,
Correct.
is this indicating the dates that you saw Mr. McDonald?
Correct.
Okay. And so is this the first date here?
Yes.
Okay, what date is that?
6/28/17.
The June 28th, 2017?
Correct.
Okay. And then, what does it say here?
I think it says late cancel.
Oh, okay, I think I meant right next to 6/27.
Oh, initial. That
Late.
was his initial.
Yeah, late and something.
And then we see some additional dates here. Would these dates indicate when Mr. McDonald saw you as a client?
Correct.
Okay. And you see where my pen is here?
Correct.
Okay, can you read, can you tell me what that date is there?
That's 8/31/17.
Okay. And since that's the same date on the letter, do you think that was the date that you gave him the letter?
Yes, I do.
And then, and on what date would you have seen him next after that?
According to this, on March 22nd of 2018.
Okay. And the next date under that, we see here, what date is this?
11/6/17.
No show,
And what does
and
it
then
say next
last
to that?
minute.
A no-show.
Does that mean that Mr. McDonald didn't show up for his appointment? And then what's the date underneath that?
12/5/17.
And what does it say next to
A
that?
last-minute cancel.
Last minute cancel. Gotcha.
And is this the date you were just referring to, March 22nd, 2018?
Correct.
And then the last date on here?
4/5/18, or April 5th, 18.
Okay. And it looks like, is this an I written?
That means an individual session.
Court's brief indulgence.
Oh my God. Hello, Jester.
And Your Honor, I will pass the witness.
Prosecutor.
Yeah, I want to understand something here. Mr. McDonald was ordered by the family court when he didn't have a lawyer that he could have no contact with his kids, correct?
Your Honor, I object. That's lack of personal knowledge.
Well, let's rephrase it.
If she knows.
If you know, that's why he came to see you, correct?
That was part of what he told me, yes.
All right. And so you met with him and you formed an opinion that he was in fact not a threat to his kids, correct?
I would say what I thought was that he should be able to see his children.
All right. And after you met with Mr. McDonald and he had a hearing coming up, he asked you to write a letter to that effect, correct?
I was not aware of it, in the truth. I was not aware until the very end of that session what he wanted. I thought he only needed indication that he had begun therapy.
Okay, and you remember what you testified to at the preliminary hearing, correct? That you'd agreed to write the letter?
Yes, subsequently I would write the letter, absolutely.
Okay, so the letter that
I forget which one is Ronnie O'Neill. Is that the one who killed his wife and went pro se? I forget. Or was that the one who killed the journalist?
that Mr. McDonald turned into the court was actually substantively correct.
Wife and
Correct.
kid. Gotcha.
Those would not have been exactly the words I would have used.
Yes, ma'am. But let me ask you a question. Did Ms. Schiller have you actually read
Thank
what
you,
you
Sue Bear.
testified to before a preliminary hearing?
You want to show me, please?
Okay. Would refresh your recollection to what you testified to on a previous occasion on the road.
Okay.
Ms.
You can just
Schiller,
get a piece number.
this would be from the preliminary hearing transcript of August 7th. This would be pages on cross-examination starting 23 through, appears to be just 27. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Any of the preliminary transcript, ma'am, starting here where it says cross-examination begins, could you just take a few moments to review that and see if it would refresh your recollection as to what you previously testified to under oath?
Wait, why are we having her read her entire cross-examination?
Because it's actually,
Well, he's just asking if it refreshes her memory.
Well, she remembers testifying.
it's 4 pages, it should be done in a minute.
Okay, here we go. Hello, Jassa. Thank you for the 14 months.
No, I'm sorry.
Thomas, thank you for the gifted membership.
All right, and I see that you're nodding your head.
That's what you said.
All right. Are you done reading? Or?
Let me just go to.
Sure. Having reviewed your testimony at the preliminary hearing, does that refresh your recollection as to what you testified to under oath at a previous occasion?
Yes.
All right. Now, was it your opinion that Mr. McDonald was not a threat to his children?
What I believe I testified to was that I would write a letter advocating for his right to see his children, even as I read that now. I
Right,
don't mean
fair.
to be difficult, but.
All right. Now, have you, and I know what a marriage and family therapist does on a day-to-day basis. Do you get involved in court proceedings?
I
or-
have, in the past, I did a great deal. I do not do it. very
Okay,
much.
so you're kind of off and aside, the courts, you keep the courts at arm's distance.
Correct.
Okay. Now, did Mr. McDonald tell you that he had a hearing coming up on his family court case in a few days after your session? If you remember that conversation.
One of the difficulties is I only knew that he needed a letter. It does not make sense to me in this moment that if I knew he had a court hearing to that effect, that I would not have addressed that issue. I wrote that during our session.
Yeah.
So I don't believe I was aware until the end of the session, which it does say in there.
And you agreed to write the letter for him, correct?
I said I would write a letter, yes.
Okay. Now, did you in fact get a chance to write that letter?
He didn't come back with a letter, no.
Okay. And when I asked you directly on the direct examination and the preliminary hearing, you said, yes, ma'am. So factually, there's nothing in that letter that you would have written differently. I understand, but factually, the document itself is actually your opinion. And your answer was? Do you remember what your answer was?
No, I know that I say yes, I understand, and in my testimony that I do.
All right, so regardless of how the letter was written, you substantively agree with the letter as it was presented. That's what you testified under oath.
Well, I do understand the legal ramifications of it, but you're also asking me
Ma'am,
to go.
I asked you, I'm not trying to be.
Yes,
here.
yes,
I
the
asked you a
answer
very
is,
simple question.
that is correct, yes.
Okay. Now, who's Nina? Did you have an assistant?
No,
You didn't have a secretary or a shared receptionist with somebody?
no, I have an assistant, but her name is not Nina,
All right, what is her name?
Laura.
Laura, was she working with you at the time as well?
Yes.
Okay. And did she or did you go out of the country shortly after this last session?
God.
Is that why you were a little pressed for time to get that letter done?
No, I think he had come very late, and then it was a Friday afternoon or whatever it was. We were just trying to.
Finish up the day.
Yes,
Okay, so let me, I'm gonna, just want to make you understand. He asked for a letter, correct?
but without full explanation of what it was for.
You agreed to write the letter, correct?
I wrote the letter as I understood it was supposed to be. Then as he was leaving, he asked for something else. I said I would do that.
And you agreed that both the preliminary hearing and here, that the opinion in the letter was actually your opinion,
It does say that there, yes.
all right? So, when the detective came and handed you this letter, there was nothing substantively incorrect. Stylistically, but substantively
Oh
incorrect.
my God. It doesn't matter.
I think the question was, did I write that? I don't mean to be difficult.
Yeah, I know. Even she's figuring it out. Doesn't matter if she agreed with what was written. The fact that she didn't write it.
Tim, have you ever done any legal work?
I've been foreman of a couple of juries, and I've been related to lawyers, but no, I have.
Have you ever had to prepare any legal documents or file them?
Oh, of course.
Okay, and to look up the court rules and try to figure them out?
I don't think I've done it in a very long time. I don't
All right,
think I've
thank
done
you.
it at all.
Now, after the detective came and saw you, did Michael continue to visit with you?
Yes.
All right. And what was the name of the detective? Who came and saw you?
I think the first name was Matthew.
Matthew, was it? You don't remember?
Let me see if I read the test. I know it's in
Right,
the
that's
larger file, I'm sorry, I don't have it.
All right, ma'am, and when you talked to the detective, did you talk to substantively about Michael's therapy? No. What was it that the detective was interested in?
Having me identify which of the letters I had written.
Counsel, you had previously had the affidavit, where was that?
That is up there. No, it's on the podium.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
No, this,
Yes.
right here, it's on the back.
Oh, okay, thank you. Can we get the court's indulgence for this moment? Thank you, ma'am. I don't appreciate your patience. I'm sure I don't mean to be difficult, but I don't believe I have anything further.
Redirect.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Hunterton, the letter that you gave the defendant on August 31st of 2017, did you ever give the defendant permission to alter that letter? Did you expect him to alter that letter? And you were asked some questions by defense counsel about your testimony at preliminary hearing. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with a copy of the preliminary hearing testimony? And for the record, I'm referring to page 24 of the preliminary hearing testimony. And Ms. Hunterton, so I'm showing you, this is slightly bigger font, so it might be easier to read from, but I'm showing you page 24 of your preliminary hearing testimony. You recognize it as the same thing defense counsel showed you, right? Just bigger font, okay. Do you see a question here? Could you just read this question here?
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
from,
Can you refer me to what line? So I can follow
I'm
along.
about to say that. Line is 6 through line 8, please, on page 24.
Regardless of the origin of the document, where it says he's not a threat to himself or his children, do you agree or disagree with that assertion?
And then what was your answer?
I agree with it. If I had written it, it would have, if I had written it, I would have written more to explain my position.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Nothing further.
Any recross?
No, further good.
Questions from the jury? Raise your hands. No questions? No questions. Thank you. You may step down.
So I will say that that's actually, I don't know how frequent that is. I don't believe that's the case in New Jersey, where in a trial the jurors will be allowed to ask questions themselves. That's not a thing in New Jersey. I wonder how frequent that is in the United States.
State, call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state called Brett Sagaski. The building?
There is.
And is there some sort of hub or room where those videos can be monitored?
Yeah, there's multiple locations throughout the building that can be monitored.
And that's a regular part of your duties to monitor those videos?
Yes.
Do you do that on a nearly daily basis?
Maybe not every day, but weekly.
And you know where all the cameras are located and how they function?
Pretty familiar with them, yes.
I want to draw your attention back to December 4th, 2017. Were you on duty working in this building on that day?
I was.
And specifically, were you monitoring video surveillance on that day?
I was.
Were you made aware at some point on that day that there was a person of interest in the building?
That's correct.
And what was that person's name?
Michael McDonald.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Wearing a white t-shirt at the table to my left.
May the record reflect the identification of the defendant, Your Honor?
No, sir. Fine.
Can we approach?
Yes.
All right, hold on.
Involved with watch room.
All right.
Objections overruled. That'll be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
Go ahead.
Showing you what's now been admitted as State's Exhibit 12. Do you recognize that as the screenshot we've been discussing?
That's correct.
So I see that on the screenshot itself, we don't see a date or time, is that correct?
That's correct.
When you survey video as it's unfolding, or when you say the video, does it have date and time?
Typically on this program off to the right.
So I guess there's not a whole lot of doubt as to who may have filed the allegedly forged document.
The screen.
Okay. Is this screenshot, has it been zoomed in Correct. And is that why we don't see a date and time stamp?
That is correct.
And again, you, I know you testified that this was taken while it was in the Regional Justice Center, but do you recognize the floor pattern specifically depicted there
Yes.
as being out of the Regional Justice Center?
That's correct.
Brief indulgence. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ross?
No questions?
Questions from the jury? Raise your hand. No questions from the jury. Thank you. You may step down.
Has been in other family court proceedings, not just his own, very frequently in family court. So we anticipate Mr. Speeds would testify along the lines of the fact that he's seen Mr. McDonald sort of protesting or being involved with watch groups that are watching and publishing content regarding the family courts. None of that is a bad act or a crime.
I'm a little concerned, Judge. This is starting to sound an awful lot like we don't like your politics, Mr. McDonald. There's
Oh my God.
theory of criminality here. Specifically, that he went in on that day to do something illegal. If he's there every single day, how are they going to prove that he went on that particular day to do something illegal?
Yeah, I'm gonna allow the officer, so you need to bring him in and talk, or go and talk to him, that he sees him a lot, he's there on other cases, he's there for other reasons, so he recognizes him, but the fact that he's there, I assume outside protesting, I don't see the relevance of that. You wanna show, you're allowed to show that he knows who he is, and he was there on that date, fine. But I don't see the relevance to whether or not he's protesting, et
And,
cetera.
and Your Honor, I anticipate what the witness would say, like maybe not use the word protesting, but he would say that he's observed the defendant observing other family court cases in addition
If
to his own.
he's,
Is that fine?
that's fine, that he's.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I mean, that's actually a bit of a fair. That's a more fair objection. If the objection that Mueller's saying is that the relevance of McDonald appearing and observing other family court cases, I would agree that that's really kind of irrelevant to the situation. It's irrelevant to the facts at hand. I would say that that's a fair objection by Mueller.
He sat through other cases, he's seen him many times sit through all kinds of cases, whatever, but the protest, I don't see any, assuming that's what the characterization is, I don't see any relevance.
Oh, it's a
to that.
protest.
So, you can both go and explain that to him.
Thank you, Your Honor.
They say that the parties acknowledge the presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please call your next witness.
The state calls Timothy Spees.
Watch your steps, Sergeant. Remain standing, face your clerk of the court.
You do solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains of penalty of perjury.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. May you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Yes, it's Timothy Spees, S-P-I-E-S,
First name, please.
Timothy, T-I-M-O-T-H-Y.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Spees, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Judicial District Court Marshals as a sergeant at Family Court.
When you say at family court, is that located at 601 North Pecos?
Correct.
Is that within Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada?
That's right.
And how long have you been with the Marshals?
Since July of 2014,
So is that, what, 5 years?
just over 5.
And what did you do before your service with the Marshals?
I started in law enforcement in '98 with the United States Coast Guard. In 2002, I was a member of the New York City Police Department. 2007, I was a detective with the College of Southern Nevada Police Department. 2010, I became an international police advisor, where I trained police in Iraq for a year and a half to 2.5 years in Afghanistan.
And in your position as a sergeant with the Marshals, specifically over at family court, What are some of your duties?
Security of the courthouse, the people inside. Sometimes I have to run courts, so I pretty much do everything at the courthouse.
When you say run courts, what does that mean?
Work as a courtroom marshal sometimes because we're getting short-handed, so I work inside courts, but my primary duties are the safety and security of the building itself and judicial staff and citizens that enter.
Within your capacity and within those duties that you've just described, did you, within the last couple of years, become familiar with a man by the name of Michael McDonald?
Yes, I did.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you-
White shirt, blue and striped tie.
Will the record reflect identification of the defendant, Your Honor?
Yes, sir, like,
Thank you.
Mhm.
If you will briefly, tell us how you became to know or became familiar with the defendant.
I became familiar with the defendant during his divorce case. His divorce judge asked for an extra marshal to be present in the courtroom, and
Ah,
that generally was the only free one, so that generally be me.
Do you know approximately what year, what month that was, how long ago that was?
I want to say around September 2017-ish.
So you've known or been familiar with the defendant for a couple of years now?
Correct.
Okay. And how often do you see him down at family court?
He would be coming into family court a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, for various reasons.
Okay. Can you give us an example of some of those reasons?
He did a lot of filing of paperwork for his own case. He would come in to observe court proceedings from other cases. So just sitting back in courtrooms, listening to cases.
So fair to say you became quite familiar with the defendant?
Yes.
Were you, I'm going to draw your attention now back to March 13th of 2018, going back a little over a year. Were you on duty at that time, on that day, in family court?
Yes.
And do you recall seeing the defendant on the 13th of March 2018 at family court?
Yes, I did.
And where within the building was he?
He was in our filing.
Okay, when you say filing room, what does that mean?
It's actually called the reading room. It's a little room next to where the court clerk's windows are, where you have to file all your paperwork for your case. And he was sitting at a computer filing documents.
Specifically, are there multiple computers in that room?
Yes.
Are all of them able to file documents?
No, 3 or 4 you sit at filing documents.
Okay, the one that you saw the defendant sitting at, are you able to file documents from that computer?
Yes.
And approximately what time was this?
Well, he entered the family court a little after 3 o'clock, and I told him he had to leave at 5 o'clock because we were closing.
mm.
Brief indulgence.
In many states, they still, Robert, in many states, they still define burglary as the unlawful breaking and entering to commit a felony therein. In other words, the felony doesn't have to be theft or larceny. It could be any kind of felony to constitute burglary. It's not just Nevada that has a broadened burglary statute.
Do you recall when you approached the defendant at approximately 5 when you were asking him to leave, what he was doing at that time?
He was trying to finish up submitting his documents for his case.
Okay, and how would you know that?
He told me.
Did you see anything that would lead you to believe that he was filing documents?
Yeah, the documents were on the screen, and he said, I just have to submit these, and I'll be out of here. And I stood behind him until he did so.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross,
Nothing further.
questions from the jury?
May I proceed, Your Honor? Good afternoon, Ms. Smith.
Hi,
Can you tell us what you do for a living?
I am the Vice President of Human Resources
For what company?
for a company called Logistics Distribution.
What does Progistics do?
Logistics is a logistics and white glove delivery organization nationwide.
When you say white glove, that sounds very fancy. What does that mean?
That means we are the ones that if you order, let's say, a bid, we come and we make sure that everything is delivered perfectly for you. So they consider that to be white glove.
I think we all wish more of our deliveries were white glove deliveries.
Sure.
Do you, who are some of your companies that you work for and through?
So one of our projects is the
courier?
Amazon project, so we do a lot for them as well. We have, I think Creighton Darrow is someone that just came on board with us.
And what is the relationship between a company called the Avitas Group and Progistics?
The Vitas Group is what is known as a PEO. That's a professional employer organization. So they do our payroll as well as our workers' compensation.
But you work for Progistics?
Correct, correct.
Where is Avitas located?
They are located in Montana, Billings, Montana.
Okay, and what about Progistics? Are you only in Las Vegas?
No, no, we have locations from California to Massachusetts. Headquarters is technically in Oakland, California.
And where's the office in Las Vegas?
It's in Henderson at 2270 Corporate Circle, Suite 220.
Is that within Clark County, is that?
Yes.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing defense counsel proposed exhibit 11. Permission to approach?
Yes, I'm showing you what's been marked as proposed exhibit 11. Do you recognize that?
Yes, that's the front of our location.
And do you see that sign every day as you go to work?
Every day.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the sign with the address for Progistics in Henderson?
Yes.
Move to admit proposed exhibit 11, Your Honor.
Okay, I see.
Would be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
Yes.
So this has just been admitted as states exhibit 11. You said earlier that the address is 2270 Corporate Circle in Henderson. Is that the sign? And 1, 2, 3, 4 down, it says Progistics?
Yes, that's us.
And is that where you physically work every day?
Every day. Yes, it is.
Vice President of Human Relations, can you tell us what some of your duties are?
So Vice President of Human Resources, so I am responsible for all things employee related. So benefits administration, employee relations, compensation analysis, hiring and termination, workers' compensation, it all falls under my umbrella.
So you get to know most, if not all, of your employees pretty well.
Oh, all of them, from one end of the country to the other, yes.
And at the Henderson location, how many employees are under your purview?
Right now, we have about 60 employees. We've grown up to about 60.
So your role is supervisory over these people?
They all have their own VPs of the particular groups that work in Henderson, and then there are a couple of directors and managers, but I am HR for everything, correct?
And how long have you been working for Progistics?
5.5 years, March of 2014.
Have all of those years been in Henderson or in Las Vegas?
No, I originally started in our Oakland, California office, and then I relocated here January 4th, 2018.
You mentioned now you have about 60 employees. At one point, did you have an employee by the name of Michael McDonald?
Yes, we did.
Do you see Mr. McDonald in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you point him out and tell me what he's wearing?
He is the gentleman sitting to my left in the middle of the other two with a white shirt on and a striped colored tie.
Is he wearing a jacket or not?
No.
Does the record reflect the identification of the defendant, Your Honor?
It'll so reflect.
And what was the defendant's job at Progistics?
Can't remember the exact title, but it was systems administrator. I called him our go-to IT guru help desk individual, so yes.
When you say that the go-to IT guy, does that mean he helped pretty much everybody with their technical difficulties?
Yes, including myself, yes.
Let me ask you, you said 60 employees. How many of those individuals have a phone and or computer that's specific to them?
Everyone would have a phone and a computer, yes, all of the desks,
Okay.
offices.
So what would some of the defendant's responsibilities be?
Now, there was two additional people who were there as well. So he would be responsible for, let's say if your computer is down or setting up a new computer for you, you needed a new telephone, he would set that up. I used him because I would say I'm technology challenged, he would come in and help me with my computer. So he would do that for our entire staff.
How often would you see the defendant?
I saw him every day, Monday through Friday, when he was at work, and I was at work, yes.
And let me ask you, was he a subcontractor that you had contracted out from another company?
No, he was our employee. He was officially hired October of 2017 as an employee.
Okay. Was he a salaried employee?
Yes, salaried employee.
You just mentioned October 2017. Do you recall then when his employment with you ended?
Originally, he left in April, and then he came back. Our CTO hired him back, and I think we laid off again in August of 2018.
So, sorry, you said April. You meant April 2018?
April 2018, and then he was gone for a little while. Then he was back again, I do believe, in May, and then he left again. We laid off, I do believe it was August, July or August.
And were those layoffs just due to cutbacks?
Just cutbacks, yes.
Of no fault of his?
No,
Okay.
no.
From October 2017 to April 2018, was there any break in his employment?
No.
And you said you saw him nearly every day, if not every day.
Once I started there, January of 2018, yes.
Okay. And as you worked on your computer or your phone or whatever you needed help, would you chat?
Yes, we had numerous conversations, yes.
Okay. Would you say you had a good relationship with Michael McDonald?
I would say yes, we did. I like Michael. He was a very nice man, so yes.
In your capacity as the vice president, you said part of your duties included recruitment, acquisition, hiring, and specifically payroll. Do you have access to the records that would include employment records?
Yes, yes, I did. 100%.
Okay. Were you asked at one point to retrieve and provide a copy of the employment records for Michael McDonald?
Yes, I was.
Showing defense counsel proposed exhibit 10.
Mm-hmm. Where's the fast forward?
Thank you, sir.
There we go.
I'm showing you what's been marked as proposed exhibit 10. You recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is the Avita Scoop application that all candidates complete one line. And the remaining, some of the documents in here are some of the information, I can believe. Oh, and their paycheck stubs.
And who are those for?
Michael McDonald.
Okay. And do you recognize these as the documents that you were asked to obtain in relationship to the case you're here for today? Does it appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the records that are kept in the course of business at Avitas and or Logistics?
Yes, it is.
Move to admit 11, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
I'll be admitted.
So, showing you now what's been admitted as 10, you've said that this is Michael McDonald's records. Do we see on there the date that he was hired?
Yes, we do. Hire date 10/23/2017.
And on that same page, does it show what the pay rate is for the person who these records belong to?
Yes, it does. Pay rate of $47,500, salary exempt employee, regular full-time.
And then you mentioned that the last dozen or so pages here are pay stubs, is that correct?
Correct.
And according to those, was the defendant paid on a monthly basis or bi-weekly or?
Semi-monthly, we're semi-monthly.
Okay, and looking at one of those pay stubs, what is the amount he was paid every 2 weeks? I apologize.
Gross net amount, 1808. I don't have my glasses on.
So you're reading it as 1808 and 19 cents?
19 cents, correct, I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. And the one you just read, what is the pay period for those?
This would be pay period 12/6/2017 to 12/20/2017 with a pay date of 12/27/17.
Okay, and as we kind of flip through here, does it appear that, if you want to flip through some of those pages, that there's a pay stub for every 2 weeks?
Each semi-monthly pay period, yes. 11/10.
Yeah.
27, yes.
Let's see if I can find the
Thank
kitty.
you, Ms. Smith.
Hopefully it won't bother him. See if I can find him. I don't know. I feel. I hate that I feel like a bug is coming on me right now. Like,
In your capacity.
like you know how when you feel like you're getting sick, the first thing is like you get like a scratchy-ish throat. That's what I'm feeling right now, and getting sick is the absolute last thing I need right now.
Kind of human relations, is that what you said it was? Human resources, and speaking and the relationship that you established with the defendant, was there social chatting involved, friendly chatting?
Yes, we talked about his children. I know he has 2 children, both names start with the letter M, but I want to say it's Melita and Mason. I could be totally wrong. But the only reason why I remember, because I thought, okay, they're M&M just like he is, right? Like McDonald. So we talked about the children, and he had mentioned to me that he had not seen the kids in a while, and that the judge had given him some things he needed to do.
Sorry, I keep forgetting to get my cursor out of the screen. Sorry.
So that
God.
way, when you go back into her, and I remember it was a female judge, into her courtroom, that, you know, you can say, I've done ABC, you've ordered ABC, so what now? So we talked about that, yeah, 100%.
Were you aware in speaking to the defendant, did he have any other outside employment besides his employment at Prodistics?
No, not that I was aware of.
Did Michael or Mr. McDonald, the defendant, ever complain to you about lack of money?
You know, I will say we talked about, I had mentioned to Michael that I had a real estate license in the state of California at one time, and I mentioned that I was looking at the real estate courts here. Because Keller Williams is across the street from us, and he had talked about, either he had done the class or he was going to do the class at Keller Williams, but it was never a mention of a lack of money. I know we did talk about child support a little bit there, but I thought, okay, Michael, I haven't received anything, so.
Brief indulgence, Your Honor.
Oh, really? Big and sick as well? Yeah, I have some vitamin C, like powdered vitamin C I can
You
take.
just went through this, but permission to publish, Your Honor, Exhibit 10. Showing you Exhibit 10, these are the employment records for the defendant that we just went over. You see that on the top line where it says name Michael McDonald, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and specifically, while we were up there at the bench, we looked at this page here. If you could, Ms. Smith, I know that there's a mouse in front of you, and if you move it, you'll be able to see a little an arrow, if you want to move the mouse. Okay, could you put the mouse over where it says pay rate on there? Okay, and what is the amount there?
$47,500.
And there's a check mark to the right. What does that indicate?
Salary.
And below it says please check, and it says regular full-time. What does that tell us?
That he was a full-time and salaried employee with Logistics.
Okay, and the top line gives us an original hire date. What is that date?
10/23/2017.
Oh, there's actually a job title which we were looking for earlier. What's the job title?
Systems Administrator.
Okay, and then I know we went through some of these as well, and there's a couple dozen, but does this appear to be one of the pay stubs that we looked at?
Yes.
Okay, and again, in the bottom right-hand corner, what does that number tell us?
The net amount of 1808.18.
And what pay period is this for?
This is pay period 10/21/17 to 11/5/17.
Okay, and without going through all of these. I think
Yeah,
that-
thank you, Taco, for the $2.
Up there, the
I mean, I don't know if I'll eight ball them, but you know, I'll do what I can.
Period between October of 2017 and April of 2018.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Ross.
Ma'am, I want to understand something. He started with you in October of 17.
Correct.
So a financial affidavit in September of 17 saying that he was unemployed doesn't contradict with anything you would have known.
Not that I would know.
All right. Now, we all know keeping track of things gets to be a little tiresome. Did you actually look at these pay stubs?
Yes, I did.
Did you find a couple mistakes?
There may have been one that had an odd date because I think it may have been a reversal out one there. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I don't know. Do you recall seeing?
I think so. I
It's
haven't
your
looked at it.
paperwork.
I haven't looked at them lately, so I have
Okay.
to look at it again, yes.
Is there a couple mistakes in here?
Mr. Miller, need a microphone, sir.
Micah. Is there a couple mistakes in here, ma'am?
Mistake, when you say mistakes, what do you mean?
Well, date's being wrong.
Every pay period was paid, but if there's one that has a 1900 date, that typically would say maybe a paycheck was reversed out and repaid again, but every pay date would line up.
All right, so you paid him from the 1st of January 1900. He's certainly not 119 years old, correct?
Correct.
All right, nobody thinks he's 119, no matter how much gray hair he's got, right? Sorry, Mike. The fact of the matter is, ma'am, there's mistakes here, correct?
Funny. He's a funny guy. Look at this guy. He's like funny. Oh my God. Thank you, Mueller, for that one. Funny guy. Funny.
May I approach?
Yes.
So if I were to sit down and read your pay stub literally, that's wrong. He's not 119 years old.
Well, if you look at the net wages, it shows negative.
Okay, so, and
So
you
that-
certainly didn't take money away from him either.
That's very true.
I can't imagine that works
That's
out.
very
That
true.
makes people very grumpy, I would
That's
think.
very true.
All right, so the answer is your pay stub is wrong, the amount's wrong, time's wrong, and you have the advantage of a computer and 60 employees, and there's still mistakes, correct?
It's a reversal check, and there is a check that constitutes what the reversal was.
All right. Now, ma'am, you started in October, did a great job for you. He came back a little later and worked with you again.
Oh my
correct?
God.
But there was a period of time he was not working.
Just a short period of time, correct.
All right. Now, did you see Michael every day?
Every day that I was at work and every day that he was at work, yes.
Okay, so you're coworkers.
Correct.
And he was concerned about his kids, correct?
Yes, he did.
And the judge wouldn't let him see him.
Okay.
Another brother?
Redirect. Mr. Miller, of those exhibits.
No idea why he brought that up, but sure. Okay.
Just very briefly, Ms. Smith, just so we can all understand what some of this language meant. You mentioned that one of the checks being a reversal. Can you just explain what that means?
So typically, if you are accidentally paid something that's overage or they have to reverse something out, they have to do the reversal of the check just to show you what they're taking away to give it back to you. So that's why that check would show negative numbers next to that.
And from watching you on Cross, it appeared that you were already aware of that. You didn't get sprung on that today, correct?
No, yes.
Okay. And because there's a reversal, the ability to do a reversal, it appears that that's not regular, but something that happens in the line of payroll.
Every last one of your employers can do a reversal. If you're accidentally overpaid or if something happens, the employer, all of the payroll companies have the ability to do it and to pay you because by law they have to, the correct amount.
Nothing further.
Jury Cross?
No, no.
Questions from the jury? Raise your hand. No questions, thank you, you may step down. Dave, call your next witness.
The state calls Aaron Stanton.
Watch your step, sir. Remain standing, face the clerk of the court.
You do solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains of penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Can you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
My first name is Aaron, Aaron, and the last name is Stanton.
Aaron?
Canton.
Sir, what is your occupation?
I'm a detective with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
Oh.
And how long have you worked for the department?
Approximately 25 years.
And how long have you been a detective for the department?
Approximately 18 years.
And are you assigned to a particular unit or division?
I am. I'm assigned to the criminal intelligence section.
And how long have you been with the criminal intelligence section?
Approximately 10 years.
And so what are your responsibilities as a detective in the intelligence section?
Within that section, I work on the public integrity squad. The public integrity squad is tasked primarily with conducting investigations and information gathering of public integrity type violations of criminal law. That can be anywhere from corruption and fraud related activity with political candidates, incumbent candidates, people involved in the political world. We also
Okay. Look, the other one was kind of boring. I believe this one gets a little spicy because I think Mueller really goes into this guy to try and paint the picture that this individual had some sort of a political vendetta against McDonald. I remember this now.
Individuals that are employed in licensed positions such as attorneys, sometimes physicians, etc. We also are tasked with conducting criminal investigations.
Happy birthday, CT's significant other.
And then also, it kind of doesn't really fit in a box, but we're also tasked with investigations involving murder for hire. And then with that position, I'm also part of the Nevada Election Integrity Task Force, which is comprised of various local, state, and federal jurisdictional entities. And we basically look at fraud related to elections, voter intimidation, and we look at any irregularities at the poll during campaign season or during the voting season.
And so it sounds like you investigate a lot of things that are different from what we typically see detectives doing on TV. What kind of investigative techniques do you use to investigate cases?
Well, as far as gathering information for investigation, there's obviously a lot of different types of techniques. The first would be basically human sources. That's somebody is a victim of a crime, they report a crime. Another way is if somebody witnesses a crime, they're not necessarily a victim, and they report it, they come forward. Other ways are people that are aware of crime that's occurring that come forward to report that. So those are the types of human sources. We also monitor various websites on the internet and social media pages. There's also undercover operations, surveillance operations, and there's just a wide variety of different techniques and ways that we gather information for investigations.
And so I want to turn your attention to about March 20th of 2018. Were you working in the criminal intelligence section at that time?
Yes.
And as part of that employment, did you become involved in an investigation involving an individual by the name of Michael McDonald?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you come to be investigating Mr. McDonald?
Originally, what I had seen was while I was observing a Facebook page, there was an allegation that Mr. McDonald was he had hearsay.
I'm asking why he did what he did and how it led to investigation.
Without telling us what's on the page.
there
You
was,
saw.
there was allegations of Mr. McDonald not living in the area that he was filing for as a political candidate.
And so was Mr. McDonald a political candidate at that time?
He was.
Okay, for what office?
I believe it was Assembly District 20.
And why were you monitoring that Facebook page?
It's just one of several pages when there's a little bit of downtime that I monitor to see if there's any information regarding the courts or, you know, activities, crimes involving the political realm and whatnot.
You're welcome, Candace.
And then, so after reading this on that Facebook page, what did you do?
At that point, I obtained the filing package from the Clark County Election Department for Mr. McDonald. I reviewed that information. I also pulled court filings related to Mr. McDonald, and I believe that same day I went and did a short surveillance on the residence that Mr. McDonald said that he was living at.
And was that, and did you determine whether or not Mr. McDonald was living in the correct, or the reported district?
Eventually, yes.
And when you were reviewing, when you were reviewing these court filings, what did you observe?
There were various court filings in the 8th Judicial District Court related to a divorce case involving Mr. McDonald. Looking through those, I observed a letter which was written by a therapist in different filings within those filings. So each date there was a different filing, and there was multiple filings of that letter within those filings.
And let me back up slightly. Why were you looking at what was filed in Mr. McDonald's divorce case?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. So originally, when I was looking at the allegation of the living in the wrong district, that's one of the ways that we can ascertain where someone's living when they.
All right, now everything is kind of coming back to me about what the revelation was and why Mueller got so huffy about this guy. It's all coming back. I won't spoil it, but I remember now.
File documents, specifically in a divorce case, there's mention of where they're residing, different addresses. There's filings which include addresses where they're living at. And then secondly, the day after I received the initial information, I had also observed on a Facebook page that there was a forged letter from the counselor in these divorce court filings of Mr. McDonald's.
And what additional steps, if any, did you take in the course of your investigation?
So at that point, after finding those letters, I obtained a copy from the court of a hearing that was dated March 16th of 2018. I also contacted the therapist, Ms. Nancy Hunterton, and discussed with her whether or not she recognized
I can't blame you, Candace.
the letters that were in the filings.
Did you show her copies of these letters?
I did. I had two different copies of the letters that I had found. One was filed a couple times, and then there was another version of the letter which had an extra sentence added onto it, and I did show her both versions of those letters.
And did you meet with anyone who worked in family court regarding how the documents were filed?
I did.
And tell me about that.
So I met with Christina O'Connor. She is the administrator over the clerk's office of the Judicial District Court down in Denver Division. I asked her if she could tell me when and where these particular filings were done, and if they were done in person or if they were done electronically.
And did you meet with anyone from the Marshal Service?
I did. I met with Sergeant Sagowski, and I met with Sergeant Spees, and talked to both of them about my investigation.
And why did you want to meet with them?
So specifically, I talked to Mr. Spees, or Sergeant Spees, regarding he had observed Mr. McDonald in the clerk's office during one of the days of the filings. And then same thing with Sergeant Sagowski. There was an observation that he made of Mr. McDonald here in the RJC during the date of one of the other filings that contained the letter with the extra sentence.
And Your Honor, may I approach to retrieve some exhibits?
Yes.
Also, guys, Winston's in his cubby hole. Didn't wanna bother him.
So Detective, I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to publish some already admitted documents and ask you about the court filings that you were referring to. So you should see them on the screen. So first, I'm publishing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 2. Okay, and can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recognize what we're looking at here?
I do.
Okay, what is it?
That is one of the documents that was filed by Mr. McDonald on September 27th of 2017 that I observed in the family court case.
Okay. And if we move down here, we see this section has been blacked out. And am I correct that this wasn't blacked out when you were looking at it?
That's correct.
Okay. And now I'm going several pages in the same exhibit. And do you recognize what we're looking at here?
I do.
And what is this?
This is the letter from Ms. Hunterton that I was describing before that was contained within this filing.
Okay. And is this one of the letters that you showed Ms. Hunterton when you met with her?
It was. Minus the redaction.
And meaning that this and this right here?
Correct.
And I'm turning to the last page of the same exhibit. Do you recognize what we're looking at here?
I do.
And what is that?
At the end of the filing, it's a motion opposition fee information sheet that's filled out and also filed with the filing.
Okay. And do you recognize the wording at the bottom?
Yes.
And now publishing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 3, looking at the first page. Do you recognize what we're looking at here?
I do.
And so what are we looking at here?
This is another one of the filings that was done by Mr. McDonald. This one was on December 4th of 2017.
And did you, when you met with Christine O'Connor, did you discuss how the documents were filed?
Yes.
Okay. And in the course of your investigation, did you come to a belief as to how this document was filed?
Yes.
And how was that?
That was in person.
Okay. In what building?
I believe that one was here in the Regional Justice Center.
Okay. And do you know the room number of where that would have been filed?
The District Court Clerk's office is here on the 3rd floor, room 3317.
And I'm going to go several pages in on the same exhibit. And do you recognize what we're looking at here?
I do.
And what is it?
This is the altered version of the letter from Ms. Hunterton that had the extra sentence added at the end of the paragraph.
Okay. I'm going to zoom in slightly so we can see the middle of the letter a bit better. Okay. And then, so is this the other letter that you showed to Ms. Hunterton when you met with her?
It is.
Okay. And you mentioned an added sentence. Can you, if you touch your screen, can you indicate the sentence you're referring to?
It's the,
Actually, if you use the
sorry.
mouse. And
Technology.
this last sentence here.
could you read that sentence out loud, please?
I do not believe Mr. McDonald is a harm to his children or himself.
And now I'm showing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 4. Could you hit the trash can icon? And so now for the record, I'm publishing State's Exhibit 4. And Detective, do you recognize what we're looking at here?
Yes.
And what is it that we're looking at?
This is one of the additional filings that was done in the divorce case with Mr. McDonald, and it was filed on December 20th of 2017.
And I'm going to go a few pages in on the same document. Okay. And now on the same exhibit, a few pages in, what are we looking at here?
Again, this is the same letter that was written by Ms. Hunterton regarding Mr. McDonald, and this did not have the additional sentence at the end, so this would have been an unaltered version of the letter.
Okay. So is this similar to, so is this the same letter that I showed you in the first version?
Yes.
So the first letter I showed you that was in the September 27th filing had an unaltered letter, is that right?
Correct.
And then the December 4th filing had a letter with an additional sentence, is that right?
Correct.
And now we're looking at this, and is this the same as the one contained in the September filing?
It is.
And now publishing State's Exhibit 5. And what are we looking at here?
This is another one of the filings that I observed in the divorce case of Mr. McDonald. It was filed on March 13th of 2018 and also contained the letter, the altered letter.
And, I mean, what, actually, is this the title of the document here?
Yes, it's the exhibit list.
And I'm going to go in a few pages, still same exhibit, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay. And is this the letter you were just referring to?
Yes,
Okay. And does this have the additional sentence you've been talking about?
it does.
Is that here?
Yes, it is.
And now publishing what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 6. And what are we looking at here?
Again, this is another filing in the case of Mr. McDonald. This one was filed on March 21st of 2018.
And I'm going several pages in on the same exhibit. what are we looking at here?
This letter was contained in this filing. This is again the letter from Ms. Hunterton. This would be the altered version with the extra sentence.
Uh-huh.
And in the course of your investigation, did you come into contact with Mr. Michael McDonald?
I did.
Do you see him here in the courtroom today?
I do.
Would you please point at him and
Identification.
describe what he's wearing?
It's the gentleman in the white shirt sitting to Mr. Mueller's right.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
It'll so reflect.
And other than Mr. McDonald himself, in the course of your investigation, did you ever meet with any of the parties or attorneys involved in Mr. McDonald's family court case?
No.
Did you ever meet with any of the judges handling Mr. McDonald's family court case?
No.
And so in the course of your investigation, did you execute a search warrant?
Yes.
And for what location?
That would have been at 5603 Southeastern Las Vegas, Park County, Nevada.
And why that location?
That was Mr. McDonald's residence.
And was that for just the home, or was there also a vehicle?
It was for the residence as well as Mr. McDonald's vehicle, yes.
And could you describe the procedure you went through in this case to obtain the search warrant?
Sure. So basically what a search warrant is laying out the investigation that you've done so far. It's in a written form. It is basically the facts of the investigation. It explains why you believe that certain evidence related to that investigation will be located in a certain location. And once you write all that out, you provide it to the district attorney's office, who reviews it, and then eventually to a judge who approves it or disapproves it.
So that's the procedure you followed in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Is that pretty standard from case to case?
Yes.
Okay. And what types of items were you seeking to obtain through the search warrant?
So in this search warrant, I was looking for either version of the letter from Ms. Hunterton. I was looking for cell phones or a tablet that could be used to take a photograph of the letter, and then also for computers or computer items which could be used to store the item, or that could be used to do the addition of the sentence, basically.
And did you yourself serve the search warrant?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
That was on April 11th of 2018.
And could you describe the process you went in serving and executing the search warrant?
Sure. So myself and my partner at the time, Detective Gregory, went up to the front door. Well, the residence had two different doors. We went to the door that of the section of the residence where Mr. McDonald was living. We knocked on the door a few times, got no answer. We actually just stepped around the corner of the house and waited for a few minutes. Mr. McDonald exited the residence. I asked him if he was Mr. McDonald. He told me no. And then I identified myself as a detective with Metro Police and introduced my partner and asked if we could speak with him for a few minutes. He asked us what it was regarding. I told him it was regarding the letter from his counselor that was filed in his family court case. And then we continued to talk out front for a period of time, and then at that point I advised him that we were in possession of a search warrant, and basically told him we wanted to do this as low-key as possible. We were all wearing plain clothes. I said, you know, you're more than welcome to stay, you're more than welcome to go if you want, it's up to you. He decided to stay while we started the search warrant. And so we went in, we cleared the area, made sure there was nobody else in there, no weapons, anything that would be an officer safety issue. After we did that, we moved over to the driveway next door where Mr. McDonald's vehicle was located. conducted a search of the vehicle and then moved back to the residence to continue the search of his residence.
And you stated that at first, when you asked him if he was Mr. McDonald, he stated no. At some point, did he acknowledge that he was Michael McDonald?
I don't recall that he ever really said that he was, but I think it was just.
Oh, really?
We both knew that we both knew, basically.
Okay. And you saw him come out of the residence that you searched?
Yes.
And so was the defendant taken into custody on that day?
Yeah.
And were photos taken during the course of the search?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
And I'm showing states proposed 13 through 27 to defense counsel.
Photographs. Laying the foundation for photographs. What did they take?
And detectives, I'm showing you what's been marked as states proposed exhibits 13 through 27. If you could just look through each one and then just be yourself and let me know when you're done.
So quiet. He's just reading over. He's just looking over the photos.
And do you recognize states proposed 13 through 27?
I do.
And what are they?
These are photographs that were taken during the service of the search warrant at 5603 Southeastern.
The residence of Michael McDonald?
Correct.
And are these fair and accurate copies of those photos?
Yes.
And Your Honor, the state moves to admit states proposed exhibits 13 through 27.
Object?
They'll be admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
So I'm publishing states exhibit 13. And Detective, what are we looking at here?
That's the residence of 5603 Southeastern, the front of the residence.
And now publishing states exhibit 14. And what are we looking at here?
The vehicle on the right, the Ford, is Mr. McDonald's vehicle, or was at the time?
Okay, is that this vehicle?
Yes,
Okay. And who are we looking at here?
that's Mr. McDonald.
And so was this vehicle searched?
Yes.
Okay. And what, if anything, was recovered from that vehicle?
There was two of the actual letters, or there's filings containing the letters inside the vehicle.
And now showing states exhibit 15, what are we looking at here?
That's just the interior rear seat of the vehicle.
And do you see something white in the lower left corner?
I do.
What are we looking at there?
That's actually a binder that was
Full of
contained
women?
in the vehicle.
And did Mr. McDonald tell you anything regarding that white binder?
I don't specifically remember anything about that binder. There was additional binder that was on the other side, which would have been the passenger side rear floorboard. And that was a white binder containing the March 13th filings, which was the exhibit list.
And showing State's Exhibit 16. It's a bit dark, but what are we looking at here?
That was the contents of the white binder that I was just speaking about that was on the passenger side floorboard. In the rear.
Why is it got to be white?
That was the March 13th filing.
Isms.
Okay, and is this a letter that was contained in the March 13th filing?
Yes, again, that's a copy of one of the letters from Ms. Hunterton that was altered.
And did Mr. McDonald, the defendant, make any representations to you regarding what this binder was for?
I don't recall specifically at that point, no.
And showing State's Exhibit 17, what are we looking at here?
This was the desk that was set up inside the residence where Mr. McDonald was living. They had a computer and 2 monitors and a keyboard on the desk.
And I'll show you a closer up photo in a second. But what are we looking at here on this screen on the left?
So what that is, during our interview, Mr. McDonald had told us that he took a photograph of the letter with his cell phone, and when I asked him if it was still on his phone, he said that he believed that it was deleted off his phone and uploaded over to his Google Docs or to a cloud-based storage. And so I asked him at that point if he would mind showing us his Google Docs on his computer that he told us was on the computer. And he agreed. He pulled it up, and asked him if he had any of the versions of the letters within those Google Docs. And he said that he believed that both of them were there, which eventually both of them were there. He showed us both. So that's one of the versions of the letter that he pulled up from his Google Drive.
And to be clear, from this Google Drive, it was the defendant who brought up this document, not you.
Correct.
Neko, off topic, but if a binder of family court docs, which I think are normally not public, was found during a search, could details be used in evidence? No, of course not. That would be easily anything that had any of those family court docs that have nothing to do with the actual charges. No, they would not be used as evidence. They'd be easily excluded if the state tried to bring them in as evidence. Micah McDonald's antics and whatever he did in the course of his marriage have nothing to do with the specifics of this case.
And now I'm publishing State's Exhibit 18. What are we looking at here?
That's a close-up of the photo. Again, it's a photograph of the letter that was written by Ms. Hunterton, and it's the version that's altered with the extra sentence.
Is that the extra sentence here?
Yes.
And is this the Google Drive in the background?
Yes.
And now publishing State's Exhibit 19. And what are we looking at here?
That's just another photograph of the altered letter, again from Ms. Hunterton.
And now publishing State's Exhibit 20. I'm going to zoom out. And what are we looking at here?
So that was a photograph of the letter from Ms. Hunterton, which was not altered, which did not contain the extra sentence that was located on the Google Drive by Mr. McDonald.
And it's hard to tell from my perspective because of the lighting. But in the background, is this the Google Drive of the defendant in the background?
Honestly, I can't tell from this picture, but I know that those photographs did contain that.
Okay. And Your Honor, may I approach with the same exhibit? This is Exhibit 20. When you look at it up close, is that the Google Drive in the background?
Yes, it is, and you can also tell by the bar up above.
And so is it fair to say this is a different version of the letter from what we've been looking at, correct?
This is what appears to be a unaltered version of the letter.
And to be clear, this does not contain the sentence we were just looking at, correct?
Correct.
And did the defendant, Mr. McDonald, pull up this letter on the Google Drive?
He did.
Now showing State's Exhibit 21. And what are we looking at here?
Again, that's the altered version of the letter from Ms. Hunterton.
And publishing State's Exhibit 22, what are we looking at here?
That's just a photograph of different documents that were in the Google Drive that Mr. McDonald pulled up the copy or the photographs of those letters from.
And now I'm showing State's Exhibit 23. Can you tell me what we're looking at here?
That's a copy of the December 4th, 2017 filing that was in Mr. McDonald's divorce case.
Okay. And where was this found?
I believe that one was located in his backpack.
And the backpack that was searched, where was that backpack located?
So originally, Mr. McDonald was wearing the backpack when we first came in contact with them. And then eventually it was removed and placed inside their residence.
And now I'm publishing State's Exhibit 24. And what are we looking at here?
That is the March 21st filing, again, in Mr. McDonald's case, or a copy of it.
And was this found during the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
And where was it found?
That was recovered in his vehicle.
And showing State's Exhibit 25, what are we looking at here?
I think after we get through his cross, I'm going to call it here.
Do you need me to zoom in, or is it just the brightness?
It's a photocopy or a copy of the letter from Ms. Hunterton that was altered. And it appears to be in one of the filings. I can't tell which one it is.
And when you say one of the filings, would it likely have been either the March 21st or the December 4th?
Yes.
Since those were recovered in the search warrant?
Yes.
And now showing State's Exhibit 26, and what are we looking at here?
Again, that's another copy of the altered letter from Ms. Hunterton.
And would it presumably have been contained in one of the filings that were in the previous photos that I just showed you?
Yes.
And lastly, I'm showing State's Exhibit 27. What are we looking at here?
So that's a photograph of Mr. McDonald holding a copy of the search warrant seal, the search warrant, and then the search warrant return.
And why was this photo taken?
So after every search warrant,
That's a good question.
we're required to leave a copy of the search warrant affidavit, or in the alternative, the search warrant seal if the affidavit sealed. And then we complete what's called the search warrant return, which is an inventory of the items that are recovered pursuant to the search warrant that are actually seized. And we're required to leave those. And so what we do is we take a photograph of somebody in the residence with those items to prove that we actually left those items with them.
Ah. Well, I mean, that makes
So
sense.
you mentioned a little bit about having a conversation with the defendant during the course of the search warrant. Did you speak to him regarding these letters that were filed in his family court case?
Objection or reproach?
Uh-oh.
And I'll during the course of the search warrant, did you speak with Mr. McDonald, the defendant, regarding letters that were filed in this court case?
Yes.
Okay. And what, if anything, did he tell you regarding these letters?
So originally, when I told him why we were there.
This is why you shut up when talking to the cops.
Filed in his family court case, he initially told me that they were approved, that Ms. Hunterton left out some information and that she was supposed to write a new letter for him. As we got into how it was changed, I asked him several times if he had changed it or if it was changed by the office. And I was talking about the altered sentence that was added to the letter. And he would just tell me that it was added with approval. And again, I asked him if it was added by the office. I actually asked him if it was added by the secretary, and he told me that she was supposed to add it. And then continued on with our conversation. I asked him directly if he was the one that added it. He said he didn't want to comment on it and that he would talk to Ms. Hunterton about it. He told me that he
didn't straight up admit it right there.
Forgery. I asked him again if he was the one that added the sentence the second time, or actually it was several times in, but that I asked him. And then that time he said he didn't want to comment because he didn't know what the statutes were. We talked a little bit longer. I asked him how it was added, as opposed to who added it or if he added it. I asked him if it was added by a computer program or how that extra sentence was added on there. And when I said if it was a computer program, he goes, yeah, something like that. Or he goes, that's probably what it would have been. And then eventually I asked him again, because it seemed we were just talking in circles, if he was the one that added the sentence. And he said he didn't want to comment on it because he didn't want to incriminate himself.
I mean, smart move right there.
Around for several minutes, and then at that point, I told him that we had a search warrant for his residence. We stopped talking for a little bit, did the search of the vehicle, came back to the residence. Again, I told him he was free to go, or if he could stay if he wanted. He stated that he wanted to.
If he's free to go, he's free to stay. Especially when it's his own house.
He could do to help us. And so I told him specifically, I said, these are the things that we're looking for. We're looking for items that could have altered the letter. We're looking for copies of the letter. And if you can help us locate those items, that would be appreciated. He told us that he believed there could have been copies in the vehicle, which we did locate. He then, after I asked him if he took a photo of the letter, because I asked him that because it appeared to me on a lot of the copies of the filings that there was a shadow in the lower left-hand corner that appeared that it was either a tablet or a cell phone that was being used to take the picture. So I asked him about that, and he said that he did take a photograph of the letter with his cell phone. And so I asked him if he could show me his cell phone, if he'd be willing to show me if that picture was on there.
They
So
know.
He actually got his cell phone. I stood next
Oh
to
my
him,
God.
thumbed through some of his photos for several minutes, and then told me that he believed that it was not on the phone anymore, that it would have been uploaded to his Google Drive, which was his cloud-based storage. And I asked him if he'd be able to pull that up on his computer, if he'd be willing to do that, and he agreed to do so. He went over to his computer.
Was it, well, I mean, was the, well, that's a good question. If a search warrant allows you to include the computer, does that include the cloud storage that you would have access to on the computer? Kind of curious about that. My gut is kind of telling me no, but there could be exceptions. You need to, yeah, okay. That's what I thought, because I feel like if the answer was yes, then I feel like it would open the door to being able to search through everything. Everything that you have, like, you know, access to of your every personal thing that you have access to. I mean, I can only think that if it was like locally stored, then you might be able to access it. But if it's only accessible through Google Drive, you'd have to go through, you have to get a subpoena through the service provider.
He went into his Google Drive, pulled up a variety of documents in a search box, and then entered in counselor letter to the search box, and then that pulled up the two different versions of the letter, the one that appeared to be the original without the extra sentence, as well as the second one that did have the extra sentence.
Okay. Would this one be an example?
Yes, that would be an example of the one with the extra sentence.
Okay.
So again, I asked him how that would have been altered, and he didn't give me a straight answer. We talked some more. We discussed calling Miss Hunterton to talk to her about the letter, which we eventually did on speakerphone. After that phone call, we pretty much were wrapping it up. I again asked him if he was the one that put the sentence on there, and again he started talking in circles, and so he told me that he didn't want to insult my intelligence, and I said, wow. I said, look, I think after all this discussion and what we looked at, that we both know that you added the sentence. And he said, I know. And then after that,
You done did it.
We did our paperwork and pretty much left at that point.
And I'm not asking about the substance of the conversation in which Ms. Hunterton was called, but did the defendant give you approval to contact Ms. Hunterton?
Yes.
Okay. And did you put her on the speakerphone?
Yes.
Okay. And so all three of you were there in the conversation?
Correct.
And did Ms. Hunterton confirm with the defendant that he was okay with her speaking to you?
Yes.
And at any point during your conversation with the defendant, did he mention anything about his employment?
He said that he did odd jobs. He didn't say that he had a steady job.
Now I'm going to move back into the court documents in this case and publish Grand Jury Exhibit 5, State's Exhibit 5.
98 HK, my understanding is that they do not have they as in Al Nevada judges are forbidden from showing the jury, and I believe the witnesses have discretion on whether or not they wish to be shown in the broadcast.
And this is one that I've already showed you before, and this was filed on March 13th of 2018, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we've already looked at a letter, but was there anything else contained in Exhibit 5 that attracted your attention when you reviewed it?
Yes.
And what was that?
It was a financial disclosure form.
Really?
And now we're still in Exhibit 5, you mentioned the financial disclosure form. Is that what we're looking at here?
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. And what are we looking at in the top left corner here?
So the top corner basically lists the name of the subject who's filing the financial disclosure.
No, I'm not debating another Hamas supporter.
But their phone number as well as the.
Just that I completely forgot about my dental appointment Monday that I need to make sure I'm able
It's,
to attend. And
District
my
Court.
dad just called me,
Susan David, 1
and obviously I'm live streaming right now.
dash Susan David.
And you see the section that says personal information?
Yes.
Okay, what's the name listed there?
Michael L. McDonald,
And the date of birth?
10/22 of 83.
And this is the financial disclosure form you mentioned struck your attention, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And why did it attract your attention?
So initially, it didn't really mean much to me other than the address that was in the top left-hand corner. Eventually, I became aware that Mr. McDonald did have full-time employment, so it struck my attention eventually because once I found out that he actually had full-time employment, I knew that was in contradiction of what was filled out on this financial disclosure form.
And we're now looking at page 2 of the financial disclosure form. Do you see the section that says annual salary?
Yes.
And what is it telling us there?
It says for annual income it's 0 and gross monthly income is 0.
And then at the bottom of the same page, the two numbers at the bottom.
M&Ms.
What are they telling us there?
So it basically is indicating that $800 a month income is being made.
Now we're on page 7 of the financial disclosure form. And what are we looking at here?
That's basically the certification page. It has some information about, whether or not they owe their attorney money or if there's a credit, and then also it is the section that they affirm under penalty of perjury that they're completing this correctly.
Okay. And are you referring here to the section underneath the word important?
Yes.
Okay. See this paragraph that begins, I swear,
Yes.
and ends with the word court?
Yes.
Okay, can you read that for me?
I swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that I have read and followed all instructions in completing this financial disclosure form. I understand that by my signature, I give
Penalty of
truth
perjury.
information on this
Uh-oh.
form. I also understand that if I knowingly make false statements, I may be subject to punishment, including contempt of court.
And then what are we looking at the bottom of this page?
There's a signature line and a date,
What's the date?
3/13 of 18.
Okay. And the signature, would you agree is somewhat illegible?
Yes,
Okay, but does it at least look like there's an M in there?
it does.
And then page 8 of this document, what are we looking at here?
That's a certificate of service page, basically stating that they served the opposing party in the suit with that material.
And is there a signature on this as well?
Yes,
And does it look like the same signature as on the previous page?
somewhat.
All right, guys, I don't know if I can get to the cross. I didn't realize the direct was going to last this long. Oh my God, yeah, it's the entire video. I think the cross is the entire next video.
Retrieve an exhibit.
Yes.
I think that exhibit 10.
No, I wouldn't take the call either.
Detective, in the course
I don't know
of your
why you guys are trying to call me out like that.
Discovering information about the defendant's employment.
As though I don't love my parents.
Any records in the course of your investigation regarding his employment?
I did.
Okay, from whom?
From Lisa Smith at Protesters.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness with Exhibit 10? So I'm showing you Exhibit 10. It's already been admitted. I just want you to take a look at that and just tell me if those are the same records that you obtained from Lisa Smith at Progistics.
Yes, they do.
And so I'm going to kind of rewind back to something you said earlier in your testimony. Did you testify that you obtained some video footage regarding a court proceeding in this case?
I did.
Okay. What specifically did you obtain?
I obtained a recording of the hearing in Mr. McDonald's case. It was dated March 16th of 2018.
And Your Honor, may I have permission to publish State's Exhibit 7? It's already admitted.
Yes.
Cross is going to be a long time, it looks like.
Probably a good time to take a recess. During this recess, you're admonished, do not talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any
There it
subject
is.
connected with the trial, or read, watch, or listen in a report of or commentary on the trial, or any person connected with this trial by any medium of information, including without limitation newspapers, television, radio, or internet. Do not form or express any opinion on any subject connected with this trial until the case is finally submitted to you. It'll take 10 minutes.
Please take your notebooks and pens, rise for the jury.
All right. Oh well, we're gonna stop it right there, I guess. The next one should have. I think they should be wrapping up the direct. It wasn't done, but I think the next video is gonna be wrapping up the direct and then going straight to the cross. I think, which should be spicy. But sorry, it's not as exciting as the other one, the other ones. But I gotta stop here. I'm tired. I need to go. I gotta go. Call my dad, see what he needed. Everybody go check out Natalie if she's online right now. And I really hope I can make that dentist appointment, honestly, because it's been way too long. Actually, and the problem is, the reason I forgot about my dentist appointment is because I had originally scheduled it, like, I think back in like August, and this was the only opening they had. They were that freaking booked into freaking November. So anyway, have a good night, guys. Take care. See ya. Adios.